Hello, welcome to this lecture in business intelligence. So today we are going to talk about the different fields where business intelligence can help in a startup or an organization managing an innovative project, and how it can help to make better decisions and build better startups and better projects. So business intelligence can mainly help in three areas: market and industry intelligence, so everything that has to do with market research, customer and competitive research; technology intelligence, anything that has to do with innovation curves, adoption curves; and social, economic, political, and environmental and regulatory intelligence to understand better the context in which a market evolves. So let's go through each one of it and let's see what are the analyses that you can do and how can you visualize those analyses to help you make better decisions. So first of all, market intelligence. So this is a short anecdote that shows how important is customer intelligence for business. In July 2019, retailer Forever 21 decided to include a free gift with the online orders to enhance customer relationship. The thing was that before, when sending this gift, Forever 21 really didn't take a look at their data. They didn't know exactly who their customers were. They just decided to send a gift to everyone that has ordered online without really understanding who was ordering, why they were ordering, and what type of products they were ordering. All this data was available, but they thought they didn't need it just because they were just sending a gift and they were not taking any strategic decision, let's say. The thing is that most of the customer base of Forever 21 was people that were purchasing plus size clothing. And Forever 21 didn't know this, and they sent as a gift a Natkins diet bar. So what happened, what Forever 21 thought was going to be just a gift that was going to make customers happy, more loyal, and engaged to the brand, was completely the opposite. Because customers who receive it, and mainly those plus size, receive it and saw it as a message from Forever 21 saying, "Hey, you need to lose some pounds." And of course, it was not what Forever 21 intended. So there was a big scandal on social media and a lot of messages disseminated of outrage because, how it's possible that they send these gifts to people. It's not possible. And also because they thought they were specifically sent only to the people that order plus size. So Forever 21 have, of course, to quickly apologize, explaining that the gift was sent to all buyers and not just the plus size buyers. But of course, it was not enough, and they had to drop the program. And this had a big impact on the image of the brand. And that's just because they thought sending a gift was not an important decision, and that they didn't need to look at their customers before deciding on what gift to send. So this shows exactly why customer intelligence is so important for every decision in marketing. If a company or a business doesn't know who their customers are and how they behave and why do they purchase and when do they purchase, is almost impossible to keep to be on the top of their minds, because we cannot as a business respond to their needs and to their changing needs if we don't know who our customers are. So it's really important. So every marketing decision, should be based on data analytics from the market and the customers. From the strategic ones, such as deciding which segments should I enter, through more tactical, such as deciding what kind of advertising campaign should I launch, what should my logo look like, or my brand image, or how should I implant, or how should I design my store and websites. So the main aim of marketing intelligence is to help business determine or identify what it aspires to be in the marketplace. So mainly to helping them identify the value proposition that they want to give to their customers, the one that is going to differentiate them from other competitors and from offers already in the market. It helps also to make better decisions about the marketing mix, product, promotion, place, and price. Oops, sorry. So market research should answer to questions such as who are my customers, what do they look like, when do they purchase, how much will they pay, where do they purchase, what are the trends, how should I segment the market, and so on. So all these questions are really important to answer if you really want to know and know if the market is for you, or if you want to come up with new products or new services, or if you want just to be sure that you are addressing your customer needs properly, and to of course stay afloat in the market. So the benefits of marketing research is that it improves, of course, the quality of decision making. It guides communication with current and potential customers. It helps a business identify potential opportunities in the marketplace, for example, areas or markets that have been underserved by competitors. It minimizes the business risk by uncovering prospective problems, so by foreseeing potential problems or issues that may come. It helps create benchmarks and track progress, and of course, evaluate overall success. So one of the best way of understanding the market and analyzing market decisions is through the SWOT analysis. So the SWOT analysis is a tool that you can use as a business to understand what are the different external and internal factors that can impact on the viability of a decision, whether that decision is, for example, entering a new market or addressing specific needs, launching a product, and so on. So the SWOT analysis is divided mainly in four sections. So you have the strengths, the weakness, the opportunities, and the trends and the threats. So the strengths are all the internal attributes and resources that support a successful outcome. So those things that are internal to the organization that will make it that are positive for launching, for example, the product, or for entering the market, or that makes the organization or the business really capable or good at when addressing a specific market. You have the weakness, which are the internal attributes and resources that works against a successful outcome. Then you have the opportunities, which are external factors that the entity can capitalize on or use at its advantage. So, for example, things that are linked to the industry itself that can be of benefit to the company. And finally, threats that are, again, external factors that could jeopardize the entity's success. So, for example, the low barriers to entry, or the fact that there is already a well-established competitor, or that is technology that is still at the early stages of the adoption cycle, and so on. So that's the SWOT analysis. Then you have the Pesticidal Analysis that helps you better understand the market through 6 different lenses: political, economical, sociological, technological, legal, and environmental. So understand what is the context and how these different let's say lenses can impact again the viability of a market and the opportunities that may be for a company. So for example, you have to look at what is the political stability, and if there that stability is going to have an impact on launching of your company or on the product itself, if there are any foreign trade policies that might jeopardize, for example, your position on a market, because they might open, for example, the way to new competitors coming from foreign countries. Economic, to see, of course, what is the purchasing power of your potential customers, and if, for example, it's going to be hard to position yourself in a specific range of prices, depending on what is the urgency, for example, of the product or service. Sociological, so to understand better, for example, what are the lifestyle issue, attitudes, or cultural barriers that you may come upon. Technological, to see what is the level of innovation, for example, or of technological awareness, or of adoption of technologies. Legal, to see if there are any regulations that might jeopardize or that might drive the launch of your project or product in a specific market. And environmental, again, like policies or pressures you may have from NGOs and so on. And then you have customer intelligence. So the main aims of customer intelligence is to identify potential clients or target groups, selecting the channels where you are going to communicate with those clients, and of course the choice of a relevant message that you want to convey and when you are going to convey it. So who's your customer, how to reach that customer and when to reach it, and through which means. So today we are in an era of personalized customer marketing, because today consumer is at the center of any marketing campaign and of any product design. Customers are more aware of what are their needs and what is it that they want. They have a lot of choices, so the more personalized we can get, the better it is for the customer. So we have to think about what is the suitable marketing message that should correspond to a client needs, of course, to the client's profile. It has to be consistent with other marketing message from the company sent to a client. It has to meet the client's requirement concerning obtain permission, right, about their data. It has to be sent at the right time and in the context that the client understands. Be sent in a manner that is more compatible with its content and the client's preferences, and of course make a response easier for a client. So these are what we want to do when sending a message, and that's how customer intelligence, and that's how customer intelligence can help. By understanding all these things through data, it can give you support on deciding what kind of message to send, when to send it, if you should send the same message to all of your customers, or if you should personalize it depending, for example, on the segment or on the profile of the user, how you make it coherent with all the messages that you send as a company, and so on. So there are different types of customer data that you can analyze as a business. You have what is called the perfect data, which are actual information or data points that are registered through direct contact with a client, so usually through forms or surveys. So for example, many times when you go and purchase something in a physical shop, you get questions about your zip code, where you live, your name, your age, and so on. So these are perfect data collected directly from the client. Then you have imperfect data, which are data that are collected from the interactions or the use of the product and the services. It's called imperfect data because you cannot know exactly if the person using the product or the service is the customer or the buyer itself, right? For example, a telephone, you can derive data from, or you can get data from the use of a cell phone, but you cannot know if the cell phone was used all the time by the main user, the main customer, or if it was used, for example, by his son or children or wife or whoever is in their family that use the telephone. So it's not completely reliable. Then you have passive data. So it's data that is not provided consciously by a client, but that is registered by monitoring his or her behavior. So for example, when you enter your Google account or your Gmail account and you are doing other researches in Google, these researchers are captured by Google to, let's say, address better advertising campaigns to use. So the next time, for example, if you were looking or browsing shoes because you wanted to purchase shoes, the next time you enter, you will get advertising about offers or sales in Adidas, for example, and so on. Or for example, when you're watching Netflix and you decide to look for a series that Netflix is analyzing, for example, when you connect, what kind of series you are watching, so that next time they can propose you with better television programs that probably will be of your taste. And then you have derived data, which is data about a client that is deduced informally from other data. So usually, for example, again, if we use the case of Netflix, if you watch a lot of movies that are about teenagers and teenager romance, then Netflix is probably going to deduce that your age is between the 10 and 16 or something like that. So it's not completely reliable, but it's a good index for businesses. So there are mainly two ways of understanding and visualizing your customers. So the first one is the persona profile. So the aim of the persona profile is understanding better what a regular or average customer looks like for you. So anything that has to do with, let's say, data such as age, sex or gender, and then more detailed data such as what are their pains, what is their lifestyle, what is it that they do in life, what are other types of products that they use, why do they buy from your company, what they don't like, and so on. So things that can be useful for the company for making new decisions about the customers itself. And then you have the user journey map or customer journey map. So it's how the user interacts with your product and services. And it looks also at the feelings at each interaction to understand the feelings and the needs at every point of the interaction. So it helps business to understand better the behavior and how the product is used to potentially improve the features, for example, or the experience, so that they can, of course, have more satisfied customers. Then you have the competitive intelligence, which is aims at understanding better who are the potential competitors, direct or indirect, what is their positioning and competitive advantage, if there are potential new competitors that could enter in a specific market, what is their innovation strategy, and of course, what is their value proposition. So there are different ways of visualizing this. You can do it, for example, through Twoaxis Matrix. So based on what are the attributes or criteria that are more important for the customer, or that are the values that the customer looks for or that you want to address, you can choose them, and based on that you are going to place the different competitors in those axes. So here, for example, we have the competitive landscape of applications for dating, and you can see that there are mainly two criteria, or two, let's say, axes, whether they are for general audience or niche audience, whether they are mainly for committed relationship or uncommitted relationship. And you can place all the potential competitors in that area. So we can see, for example, that I don't know, that maybe there is an opportunity for general audience and uncommitted relationships is where there is, let's say, less competitors there, and maybe where there is an opportunity for business. Another way of analyzing your competition is through a Petal Analysis. So again, it's really similar to the one we just saw before, but here we are going to use several criteria. So it can be, for example, characteristics of the product, or market segments, depending on what is it that you want to analyze. So here, for example, we see the competitor landscape of Slack, and is divided on segments, market segments. So you have business communication, real-time collaboration, file sharing, text management, and you can see all the competitors for each of those segments. And you see, of course, that the Slack is at the center, covering on all those sectors. And then you have the matrix, the competitive landscape matrix, where you are going to compare several competitors. So you have each competitor on the columns, and then in each row you have features or criteria about the offer. And so you get to see who is delivering specific features compared to the other, so that you can see where is it. For example, we can see that feature one, maybe there is something that can be done there, because you have only two competitors that have that feature. And for example, feature two, you see that there is only one competitor really offering that feature, and the other three are less well established in that feature. So you can see where are the opportunities for you to differentiate from your competitors. Okay, so now let's look at the technology intelligence. So the main aim of technology intelligence is to understand what are the technological opportunities and threats of a company. What are the developments in terms of innovation, tools, methods, research and development, and patents, to understand the hype cycle of emerging technologies, the readiness of those technologies, what is the adoption curve of those technologies, and needs in terms of IT systems and infrastructure. So one of the really important analysis of technology is the hype cycle of Emerging Technologies by Gartner. So it's a graphical representation of the perceived value of a technology, trend, or innovation, and of course its relative market promotion. So every year Gartner publish these hype cycles for different areas in technology and engineering that are really interesting for businesses to understand which, for example, technologies should you be using in the following years if you want to be on the let's say on the innovation dynamics and so on. So the cycle can help you understand how the perceived value of a given technology evolves over the course of its maturity life cycle. So it's the life cycle accounts for several phases. So you have first the initial enthusiasm of the industry when the technology is introduced. So at the beginning, the innovation trigger, then is followed by the mass adoption when the value is really evaluated. And then you have the maturity phase when the technology is improved. So this snapshot helps organizations answer quick questions every time a new technology innovation presents value or disillusionment. So for example, should you as a company invest in the technology or use that technology for your product or service? Okay, so for example, if you are deciding whether you are going to launch a specific application and if that application should be based on a specific technology or not, it should depend on this hype cycle. So the hype cycle is divided in 5 stages in time, and you have also what is called the expectations. So first you have the innovation trigger, which is the initial phase of a technology breakout. It may be for a product, process, concept, trend, or idea that gets attraction for media and is considered as a legitimate breakthrough. So only early adopters investigate the technology that is, of course, characterized by the novelty, the high price, and the expectation to undergo high customization over the course of its maturity life cycle. At this moment, the technology is really accessible to only a limited entities, so mainly research labs or startups, and then they start, let's say, the maturity curve. So some examples of innovation trigger are flying autonomous flying vehicles or biotechnologies such as artificial tissue or 4D printing. Then you have the peak of inflated expectation. So at this phase, the technology is widely publicized, so it gets a lot of attention. Vendors use it as a buzzword in marketing campaigns, and investors and customers see it as a hotspot. So it's mainly where it gets more of the attention from media and from potential investors. Many organizations pioneer adoption, trying to gauge from early mover advantage. Some of the examples are deep neural networks or digital twin or carbon nanotube and so on. Then you have the truth of disillusionment. So it's soon after a technology innovates, reaches the peak of inflated expectation. We see that there is kind of let's say going down in terms of expectations as it start getting some negative press, of course, because it's there are mistakes, or it doesn't fulfill all the requirements it said, or whatever it can be. So there is a kind of deceived by in expectations by customers and all investors and so on. So toward the end of this phase, the industry questioned the transformational potential of the technology. Examples can be blockchain, smart fabrics, or augmented reality. Then you have this slope of enlightenment when the innovation has now undergone enough success and failure stories, updates, and improvement for the industry to understand, and is where it gets mass usage, and that can be really adopted by many companies. So, for example, IT risk management solution, predictive analytics, cloud services, and so on. And then you have the plateau productivity, which is the phase of mainstream adoption. So more, at least 30% or more of the audience start using it. And so the idea here is to really understand where should you put your money when deciding to launch a product. If you are in the, let's say, between the innovation and trigger and peak of inflated expectation, then you can enter a market as a startup, but you have to know, and you will probably get the early advantage because of entering with pioneer technology, but you can also go through the disillusionment, and it can have a big impact on your economies as a business. Or you can also be on the plateau of productivity and stay there. So it gives you an idea of what are the expectations for some technologies. Then you have the adoption curve of technologies. It lets you know, as for the hype cycle, it lets you know how, let's say, the customers and the audience is prepared for adopting a specific product or technology. So you have mainly 6 stages. So innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. So what is important to know is that as a startup or innovative project, the most tough thing is to pass from the early adopters to the early majority. And this is where early majority is where the money is. So it means that once the audience is really prepared for that innovation, then probably is the best technology to use. So we have to be looking mainly at the early and early majority. So that's it for now. You can find also some links to open data sources where you can find a lot of interesting data that you might find useful for your projects, for your startups. You have Kaggle. GitHub, you have also governmental data that is open for any user, or European data, the World Bank also. So there are many data sets that are open source and that you can access that can help you with your business intelligence. And I also recommend watching these videos showing how companies can use data to make really good decisions and to find opportunities and capitalize from those opportunities. You will find the links on the comments. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching and for listening.